What's good, everybody? It's your boy Days back again with another video. So today we're going to do NCAA football stadiums. Okay, part 6. Yes, part 6. And this video is going to be a good video because today we're going to be in the SWAC, baby. The SWAC. We're going to do I think is it Missouri Valley, and I believe it's Ivy League and stuff. And I think that's it. But so yeah, it's gonna be pretty much HBCUs and preppy schools. So you know what I'm saying? But yeah, so shout out to the guy Worldwide Stadiums for the video. But yeah, we about to go ahead and dive in it. I'm gonna tell you how we do this. We grade these stadiums by how many years am I gonna coach there? So you know what I'm saying? Instead of grading by A, B, C, or D, we're gonna grade by years. So like 1 or done, 2 years, 2 to 3 years, 3 to 4 years, and 5 to life. You know what I'm saying? 5 years to life. Pretty much, yeah. So yeah, that's how we grade these stadiums. And yeah, so please like, comment, subscribe to the video down below, and let's get it and let's go. So I'm gonna just let y'all know, SWAC, it's showtime. All right, where they at? There they go. Oh yeah, I hate these things.
The Southwestern Athletic Conference.
Yeah.
Like many conferences, the name doesn't necessarily reflect the reality. It doesn't reach farther west than Texas, but reaches as far east as the eastern coast of Florida. So Southeastern Athletic Conference would technically be more accurate. It does, however, have the highest average attendance in FCS football. So you make your own mind up which is more important. Obviously the latter. Let's just get straight into it. A.W. Mumford Stadium, Southern Jaguars.
Southern University in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. I got some friends in Southern. Ray, will you coach there? Well, I don't like the track, but Southern, that is I'll say I'll give them 2 to 3 years. 2 to 3 years of coaching. 2 to 3 years of coaching.
Southern Jaguars. Well, straight away we see a stadium that's unlike most college football stadiums. Yeah, the running tracks are more prevalent in the FCS, but there's also something about the way each stand curves at the ends that sets it apart. Not to mention the northern stand, which is rather nice. Since these shots were taken, they have installed synthetic turf, and you can probably see why. Oh, and FYI, it's just a short elephant ride away from Tiger Stadium. I say elephant because they're good swimmers, and they never forget directions. BBVA Stadium, Texas Southern Tigers. Okay, I said
BBVA, Texas Southern. Ray, will you coach there? Absolutely. It's a soccer stadium as well. That's a 5-year deal. That's a 5-year deal right there. 5-year plus. Just because. Look at it. Would you play there? Yeah. Would you coach there? Hell yeah. Answer corrected. Yeah, 5 years. I will coach there 5 years plus.
The last one was atypical for college football. This one wasn't even made for college football. It is, of course, the home of Houston Dynamo of the MLS. It does have one of my favorite exteriors in the world. Not just the cool geometric design, but that orange and silver color combination looks incredible. It may not be a true college football stadium, but that is a plus in some respects. There is a decent amount of shaded seating, and of course those are chairback seats. You could say they're unlucky that they don't have their own stadium, but I don't know. I think they're pretty lucky to play here.
Yeah.
Bragg Memorial Stadium, Florida A&M Rattlers.
Florida A&M, Tallahassee. Right, we coach there. I at least do 2 years. 2 years. 2 years. 2-year deal. And if I win back to back, give me that 3-peat. So 2 to 3 years.
May have heard of Fort Bragg. And guess what? This place has actually got nothing to do with that. It's a fairly straightforward design consisting of these two symmetrical curved stands. I like how it perfectly lines up with the building over there. Wait a second. It doesn't. It's like 5 feet off. That's really annoying. I hear they're planning on building a new stadium. Perhaps that's why. Almost certainly not. Kasem Spinks Stadium, Alcorn State Braves. When you look at this place from 20 miles in the air, it's very hard to believe that there's actually a stadium with over 20,000 seats nestled among the trees. That's something I love about college football.
Right. Alcorn State. Right, will you coach there? Yeah, I would. Actually, I'm gonna tell y'all a story. True story. I almost went to Alcorn. For real, I almost went to Alcorn State. I almost became a Brave. I just, I was like this close to be a Brave. But what happened? A lot of stuff was money. A lot of money things was going on inside the school before I even got to the school. I'm gonna keep it like that. But Alcorn is a good school though. But would I coach there? Yeah. I do 2 years. The reason why I'm giving it 2 years because everything is there for you. All your amenities is there. Now, the reason why I said 2 years is because you got to drive 2 hours to the next population city, which is not a good thing. But the school got its own fire department, everything. But cause like I'm saying, it's in the middle of nowhere, y'all. But shout out to Alcorn though. If the school was close to a city and stuff, I would stay for about 4 to 5 years or 5+ years. But the reason why I'm giving it 2 years because it's by itself. and it takes 2 hours to get to the next, population city. So it is what it is.
Just wouldn't see that anywhere else in the world. It seems to be quite a tranquil spot to watch football, especially from the big stand to the west where you get an expansive view. I quite like the landscaping behind each end zone as well. Eddie Robinson Stadium, Grambling State Tigers.
Grambling. Right, will you coach there? Absolutely. Absolutely. Now, it's Grambling in Grambling, Louisiana. And people don't know Alcorn is in Mississippi, y'all, on the coast of the river. But let's get back to Grambling. So with Grambling, I do like their stadium. It's a bowl. It's a deep bowl. Okay, it's a built-in stadium. I will give them 3 years. Yeah, I will coach here for like 3 to 4 years. But I'm not really big on Grambling. Because I got to show my respect to the team that represent my state that's on this list. But yeah, anyway, Grambling, you got 3 years, 3 to 4 years, take it or leave it, of coaching. So, good job.
I mentioned the landscaping at the last one, but this stadium is all about the landscaping. It gives new meaning to the phrase sunken bowl. I mean, look at the view from the parking lot. All but the very top of the upper deck is hidden. That's kinda cool. The completely sunken design gives it the unfortunate nickname of the hole. I would have preferred the crater myself, but it's not up to me. Louis Cruz Stadium, Alabama A&M Bulldogs.
A&M, Alabama, A&M, in Norma, Alabama. Right, will you coach them? Will you coach Alabama A&M? Y'all want me to be real with you. It's a 2 years. I'll give him 2 years. The reason why I'm giving him 2 years, because it's A&M. But don't get me wrong, it is a nice stadium. But Alabama A&M, you got 2 years. 2 years of coaching.
I thought it was strange that the Missouri Valley had a stadium in a town called Normal, but I guess it's completely normal because there's a Normal in Alabama as well. As someone mentioned in the comments, it's named after the university itself. This one was known as the State Normal and Industrial School of Huntsville. And once again, the landscaping is on point. It's definitely easy on the eye, this stadium. One downside is that the stands here are especially far from the action. Mississippi Veterans Memorial Stadium.
Jackson State. I got a cousin that go to Jackson State. Shout out to my cousin. But this is the house that Prime built. Prime time built. Even though he's now in Colorado, but this is the house that he built. I don't care what nobody say. He made Jackson State relevant. Now, will I coach here? Yeah. Because trust me, I'll do the same thing that Primetime did. I will coach here. I don't care. Let me tell you the reason why he left. Prime left because they denied him for a new stadium. Huh? I said Prime left because they denied him for a new stadium for Jackson State. Because you got to look at it. It was never a money thing, like money in his own pocket. It was never that. They denied him because he wanted a new stadium for Jackson State. You know what I'm saying? And so, guess what? He took his whistle, he took his kids, and he went on. Tell them, y'all go play over here where they love you. And this is the reason why I say Mississippi is the poorest state in the United States. And they don't see that, it ain't hard to ask for some money to build your state back up. I know me and my mother drove to Jackson to go see the Civil Rights Museum. And my mom had pointed out the Coliseum. I told my mom, that's the actual arena. Like that's the arena compared to our Simmons Bank Arena. That's not their like Barton Coliseum. You know what I'm saying? They got the rodeo arena next door, but that's the Coliseum is actually their arena and stuff. Anywhere. 2 years. Jackson State, I'll give you 2 years.
Jackson State Tigers. Wowzers, he's a big boy. That 60,000 plus capacity is quite impressive because we're not in a densely populated area like Harlem or Hollywood, it's Jackson, Mississippi. But unlike Bruno Mars, this stadium doesn't worry too much about its appearance. It's a no-nonsense stadium with a split-level single-tier horseshoe, and there's no fancy facade, just bare concrete. It does leave it looking very monochromatic, but that's not such a big deal on game day. Its future is in doubt as Jackson looks to potentially build a new stadium on campus. Don't believe me? Just watch this space. Watch this space.
Recordings just got better. Hey, it's Dana from StreamYard. I'm so excited to announce that local recordings are now available on StreamYard. Have you ever done a recording?
Daytona Municipal Stadium, Bethune-Cookman Wildcats. If you're like me and have a curious mind, you might be wondering why the stadium is so...
Bethune-Cookman. Dang, you knew that was Bethune? Yeah, I knew that was Bethune-Cookman. Look at his letters right here. That's Bethune-Cookman. Daytona Beach, Florida. I actually been to this stadium, y'all. When I was really young. This is a one and done. Next stadium.
elongated. I mean, even if it had a running track, that's still too long. Well, it turns out it used to host flat track motorcycle events, but not anymore. I'm not sure what they were thinking really. I've done the research and trust me, no motorsports venue would ever survive in Daytona. There just isn't the demand for it. I do really like their horse racing venue though. It was a strange choice to go for a concrete track, but I guess that's for drainage purposes. Anyway, the odd shape doesn't affect the spectators because the only seating is on the sidelines, as you can see. ASU Stadium, Alabama State Hornets.
Right. Alabama State. This is my favorite Alabama team right here. Other than I'm going to say this. This is my favorite HBCU Alabama team. Sorry, Alabama A&M. But yeah, this is my favorite HBCU Alabama team, Alabama State. The Hornets. Will you coach here? Absolutely. This is a 5-year plus deal. Look at the stadium. I would never leave. Trust me, I would never leave. And the best thing they could do is when they get done. Hold on, y'all. Best thing they could do when they get done and they feel like they want to renovate it, that's what they gotta do. Add another section layers of seats. Just similar to the other side. That's it. That's it. So all I can say is you're welcome. Go Hornets. So yeah, 5 years plus.
This one has a good argument for being the best in the conference. It has a bit of everything. An upper deck here, a grassy hill here, and a small section of chairback seats. Also, I think it's the first appearance of a grand brick facade so far, which is common in the larger stadiums. And it might become a large stadium one day. You can sort of just tell by looking at those wide concourses that it has the potential to expand in the future if need be. But for now, it's the third largest in the conference. Panther Stadium, Prairie View A&M Panthers.
Prairie
It's
View.
even newer than the last one, and it's actually quite similar. It too has a rather nice brick facade on the main stand, as well as a grass berm at one end. But, well, that's about all the similarities.
Will you coach here? Yeah, I'll coach Prairie View. Now, the thing is, how many years? Cool. 2 to 3.
This one has a double-decker stand on both sides, even though
What's that? 3 to 4. No, we gotta do better than that. 5 years plus for Prairie View. 5 years plus.
it's smaller. The hits of brick throughout, particularly the administration building behind the north end zone, combined with the splashes of purple here and there, really does make for a great-looking stadium. Rice-Totten Stadium, Mississippi Valley State Delta Devils.
Will you coach here, Ray? Mississippi Valley? I'll be real with y'all. Will I coach Mississippi Valley? Yes, I'll do 2 years. 2 years.
It's quite similar to the one in Daytona, but even more stripped down to its essentials. But actually, the exposed steel of the exterior combined with the floodlight towers that look like cell towers creates a bit of an industrial look, which is interesting. But I'm not going to try and say it's an amazing stadium. Simmons Bank Field, Arkansas Pine Bluff Golden Lions. Now this one's unlike
UAPB. Pine Bluff, Arkansas. Right. Ain't you from Arkansas? Yep. I ain't from Pine Bluff, though. I'm from the capital. But, Pine Bluff. Now, I'm going to tell you something about this stadium, right? All right. This stadium is really okay. Will I coach here? I would, and I'm being biased. I would, but here's the thing. We just wanted the known HBCUs in the SWAC. We got publicity like Alabama State and like Grambling and A&M. We got more publicity like them teams. And our stadium does look like this in Pine Bluff. Now, they did do some renovations. You can see it right here. You know what I'm saying? You can see it right there. They did do some renovation to it. Okay, it wasn't looking like that at first. But hopefully they can figure something out to this stadium because it's pretty much halfway done. You can see how they're trying to build it and stuff. If they can get some more seats over here, like some more tall seats over here, more tall seats over here, take this out, destroy this, give you another tall section and stuff, tall seats over here, you know what I'm saying, tall seats over here, like they got it planned out But you know, it is what it is because they in Pine Bluff, and you know they ain't got no money down there. I'm telling you, they malls closed down. To be honest with you, but shout out to UAPB. Y'all keep surviving. Um, yeah, it's crazy.
Any we've seen so far. Okay.
Oh, I forgot how many years would I coach here. I'll do 3, just 3 years. That's what I'm saying. I ain't doing 5+ here. I'm not doing one and done here. I give him 3 years, just 3.
It's not that unusual, but the major difference is that lower section of those black chairback seats, which are a great addition. And they just make a huge difference to the overall look of the stadium. It would have looked fairly basic otherwise. As with many stadiums in this conference, the natural grass was recently replaced with synthetic turf. And that's it for today's video. If you enjoyed it, please consider subscribing. Thanks for watching. Have a good one.
All right, that was the SWAC. And to be honest with you, I want NCAA football, EA Sports, NCAA football. I want them to put the SWAC conference in the game. I do. I really do want them to put that conference in the game because it's way needed. It's really needed and stuff. Because when people think about HBCUs, they think about the SWAC on the cool. So it's needed. Let's see here. Let's find our thing again. All right, so the next one we'll do is, I believe, it's the Missouri Valley Conference. All right. Y'all ready? Missouri Valley, it's showtime.
It's time for another FCS conference. And we've randomly chosen the Missouri Valley Conference, which features plenty of dome stadiums, some interesting outdoor stadiums, and the most successful FCS team in the modern era. Alira Center, North Dakota Fighting Hawks. Hang on, I know I said there were plenty of domes in this conference, but this just looks like a straight up basketball arena. And it does serve some of the same functions as an arena, such as hosting conventions and whatnot. But on the inside, it's unmistakably a football stadium. The main indicator for me is the football field. The stadium's interior is a simple, clean, modern design. I really like that they have those balconies behind each end zone. Off to a good start. It's time for another FCS conference. And we've randomly chosen the Missouri Valley Conference, which features plenty of dome stadiums, some interesting outdoor stadiums, and the most successful FCS team in the modern era. Alira Center, North Dakota Fighting Hawks. Hang on, I know I said there were plenty of domes in this conference, but this just looks like a straight up basketball arena. And it does serve some of the same functions as an arena, such as hosting conventions and whatnot. But on the inside, it's unmistakably a football.
North Dakota. Ray, was you coach here? I do 4 years. 4 years there, yeah. I'll coach here.
Football stadium. The main indicator for me is the football field. The stadium's interior is a simple, clean, modern design. I really like that they have those balconies behind each end zone. Off to a good start. Dakota Dome, South Dakota Coyotes. It's fresh off a major renovation that really changed the look of the place. Not on the outside, it looks more or less the same, but a dome stadium is.
Ray, will you coach here? I would. I do 2 years, 2 to 3. This stadium is more like an in-arena football type stadium. Just because I'm looking at this right here and stuff. So, but yeah, I'll coach here.
It's usually all about the interior. And before the upgrade, it was far from being state of the
I
art.
think I said 3 years. 3 years. Yeah. So 3 years. I'll coach here. 3 years.
It even had some wooden bleachers. But now it's absolutely stunning. I love the contrast of the bright red seats and those black walls behind each end zone. We finally get to breathe some fresh air.
The Jackrabbits, baby. South Dakota State. Ray, will you coach here? Absolutely. I'll put 4 years in here. Shout out to my little big brother, P.S. Strong. I know he's doing good things in the NFL right now. If he left the NFL, hey, call my boy Dwayne Johnson and tell him, hey, you got a spot in the UFL. Don't let it stop you, man. Don't let it stop you. But yeah, I would coach here. I do 4 years here. Yeah, 4 years. Yeah.
Chair, Dana J. Dykhouse Stadium, South Dakota State Jackrabbits. It's the newest stadium in the conference. It's not necessarily flashy, they've still kept to a fairly standard layout, but the modern touches here and there really do make a difference. And like I mentioned in an earlier video, it's great to see coloured benches rather than bare aluminium. That's right, I said aluminium. Aluminum does sound better, to be fair. Anyway, it's getting rather nippy, let's head back inside. Fargo Dome, North Dakota State Bison. It's one of the most iconic stadiums in FCS football, although if you happen to be driving past, you might mistake it for a shopping mall, particularly with that Fargo Dome sign up top. I don't know how the capacity is.
Right, will you coach here? Absolutely. This looks like a soccer stadium. But yes, I'll coach here. I'll do 3 years here. 3 years.
Is smaller than the Alira Center. It has seating on all sides and just looks bigger. But looks can be deceiving, as we learned with the exterior. What it does have over the Alira Center is that those watching rarely have to see their team lose. North Dakota State's record is quite ridiculous, recently going on a 39-game winning streak. Hancock Stadium, Illinois State Redbirds. The stadium is located in...
Right, will you coach here? Illinois State? I do 2 years. I'll give him the doubt. I'll do one and done. I'm gonna do that. One and done. The reason I'm saying one and done is this part right here. If this part wasn't part of this, it would have been 2 years. But one and done.
In a town called Normal. It's the town name equivalent of whistling nonchalantly. I wonder what they're up to. The stadium is kinda normal, however, other than the fact that one stand is attached to the adjacent indoor sports complex. On the other side you have these bright red benches, matching the team's name. Well, the red part of it anyway. And a rather nice brick facade that it backs onto. Hanson Field, Western Illinois Leathernecks. Is a leatherneck a redneck that uses suntan lotion? This stadium is something a bit different, at least compared to what we've seen so far.
What's
something
the
a
name
bit
called?
This stadium that uses suntan lotion.
One and done. Western Illinois. This is a one and done.
This stadium is something a bit different, at least compared to what we've seen so far. It features a track around the field, there's plenty of foliage about the place, and it's got a nice grassy knoll behind each end zone. Yeah, it's kind of relaxing just to look at it. Memorial Stadium, Indiana.
Will you coach here, Ray? Hell no. I'm sorry. This is Indiana State. No, I would not coach here. I'm sorry. Can't do it. No, can't do. Unless y'all build a new stand over here, then yeah, we'll talk some business. If y'all build a new stand, I'll do 2 years with y'all. But other than that, one stand like this, there's nothing right here. I can't do it. No, can't do. Sorry.
And the State Sycamores. The worst thing about this stadium is choosing which side to sit on. The left side of the grandstand or the right side of the grandstand. But jokes aside, it does look rather odd. It also means that those sitting in the one and only stand might not feel like they're in a stadium at all, rather just hovering above a nondescript football field. The view's not too bad either. There is more that makes this stadium unique. The early version of it was built for a minor league baseball team. It was the first college football stadium to install an artificial turf field, and that memorial arch is also rather nice. Robert W. Plaster Stadium, Missouri State Bears. Surprisingly, they're the only team from Missouri in the Missouri Valley Conference. You're probably wondering,
Right, will you coach this team? Missouri State? Yeah, I'll coach this team. How many years? I would do 4 years. I'll do 4 years.
what the deal is with all the extra turf behind this end zone. Well, the stadium had a running track until recently. The old stand to the east was demolished and this one built in its place. You can sort of tell by looking at the shade of concrete that this one is newer than the other. I think it looks alright. Saluki Stadium, Southern Illinois Salukis, the team that ended North Dakota State's winning streak.
Right, will you coach here? This reminds me of Walmart Stadium. Will I coach here? I will give this to my little league football team and build fan base for my little league football team and stuff. I create a league and stuff, so my little league football team can travel to play other people. But this will be our home field. Will I coach here though? This will be for my high school. Will I coach here though? For college, 1 year there, one and done. And this is the first stadium that looked like this to be the same one and done on the cool. But it reminds me of Walmart Stadium. And our Walmart Stadium needs some it needs to be teared down and rebuilt, make it to a big old soccer stadium with double decker and call it a day. Just keep it real with you.
The stadium has a classic combination, a horseshoe with a grassy hill at the open end. Although this is more of a modern take on it. Like many newer football stadiums, it has that angular seating that allows those nearer to the corner a better view. Speaking of the view, the backdrop includes plenty of trees, and over to the north, a power plant, which is kinda cool. It's looking pretty sharp, this one, and you're spoiled for choice whether you want to sit on benches, grass, or chairback seats. They've got you covered. Stanbar Stadium, Youngstown State Penguins. What are you talking about? The Northern Hemisphere.
Youngstown. Right. Will you coach this team? Youngstown, the Penguins. I'm gonna be real. I would not coach the Penguins. And there's no disrespect to them. I feel like they did this on purpose. You know what I'm saying? How they built this side up, and then their away side look like this. You know what I'm saying? So what I mean by that, I mean like they built this side up. You see this side built up, and then you got this side, like college level, high school level, college level, high school level. You see what I'm saying? So it's kind of disrespectful. Cool. This stadium is. So will I coach here? No. And it's a hard no. Not no easy no. It's a hard no. Because I would coach here, but it's still a hard no. I like equality. You know what I'm saying? I like balance. So that's what it takes for me to be a Libra. I like balance. So I like equality and I like balance. So do right, young Sam. This is unacceptable. So no years.
It doesn't have penguins? What is... Oh. Yep, no, that's a penguin. I do humbly apologize. You'll notice a huge disparity in size between the east and west stands. Not as much as Memorial Stadium, but that huge western grandstand helps make this stadium the largest in the conference. It looks like it might also be the tallest building in town. There's absolutely nothing wrong with a lopsided stadium. A lopsided aeroplane, however... Unidome, Northern Iowa Panthers.
Northern
It
Iowa.
originally had an inflatable roof, and if you've seen some of my earlier videos, you can probably guess what happened. Yes, it collapsed during a snowstorm. More than once. But what they replaced it with is rather nice, particularly on the inside.
Right, what I coach here. I'll give it one and done. I'll give them that one and done. And if I like it, I'll stay. But it's a one and done.
Inside, where it is translucent at its peak, letting in a decent amount of light. Some aspects of the stadium are a little outdated, but not the video board, which is one of the largest in FCS football. And those were the Missouri Valley Stadiums. If you enjoyed the video, then please consider subscribing. Thanks for watching, have a good one.
All right. The next one will be the Ivy League. So Ivy, it's showtime.
Here's one thing you need to do before you buy anything online. Don't spend another dime on...
The Ivy League might be the most famous college sports conference there is, despite being an FCS conference. Although many people who have heard of Ivy League may have just heard of the quality education that it offers, and might not realize that it is an actual sports league. But it is, and here are the Ivy League college football stadiums. Brown Stadium, home of the Brown Bears.
I would not coach the Brown. I'm sorry. The Brown Bears. Right, it's Ivy League. No, I know. Well, yeah. This is pretty much going to be a hard no compilation right here. Ivy League is pretty much the hard nose. I don't think no coach will ever want to coach Ivy League schools. No real football coach. But we're going to go through this video. We're going to do them justice. But, will I coach the Browns? Brown Bears? Will I coach the team? How many years? One and done. Transitional. One and done.
Name screams excitement, but it's quite rudimentary. Although, to be fair to it, compared to some similar stadiums around the country, it does have some features that make it unique. For instance, the facade of the main stand that looks like an abandoned castle, and the
I'll say EA, do not put this league, do not put this conference in the game. Please don't.
stand itself is a trapezoid. Because Brown isn't quite as advanced as the other Ivy League,
I'd rather have SWAC than this conference. I'd rather have Patriots conference than this conference. I'd rather have a Pioneer League conference than this conference. So please don't put this conference in here.
League schools, this is how they teach the students shapes. But it's a fairly pretty stadium with all the surrounding foliage. Oh, and they have since installed artificial turf since these shots were taken, which doesn't look as good but is more functional. Franklin Field, home of the Penn Quakers. It's the oldest stadium in college football.
The Penn. University of Pennsylvania. Ray, will you coach this league? Coach this team? I would. But I feel like they need to get out this conference and go to another conference. Because this stadium is pretty much the only good stadium that's in this conference. And stuff. But I'll do 4 years here. But see, with this, I had to do a lot of renovation. But I'll do 4 years here.
Football, and one of the most unique. Just like the last one, it has a facade that was inspired by the past. In fact, that could be said for most of the stadiums in this conference. And when I say it was inspired by the past, it is still really old. But even back then, when it was being built, they were going for a classical aesthetic. The brick and concrete structure looks pretty much the same now as it did back in the 1920s, which is a good thing. You might be thinking they should have got rid of the track by now, but due to its history, I'm glad they've kept it. It really does take you back to another era. I mean, look at that field house. That's fancy. Harvard Stadium, home of Harvard Crimson. It's
Harvard Stadium. One and done.
very similar to the last one, but even more stripped back. Just one solid structure made from reinforced concrete. It was the first of its kind. In case you were wondering, Franklin Field itself is older, but it was rebuilt in the 1920s, whereas this design has been the same since it opened in 1903. When I say it's a little more stripped back, I mean it. It doesn't even have benches, just bare concrete steps. On one hand, I commend them for preserving their history. On the other hand, that must get really cold and uncomfortable on a winter's day. I mean, it's no different to the Colosseum, but that's in Rome, where it's slightly warmer than Boston. Oh, actually, a better comparison is Athens, because the design was inspired by this stadium that hosted the first ever modern Olympic Games. It was only 7 years before Harvard Stadium was built, so it would have been fresh in the memory of the architects. Memorial Stadium, home of Dartmouth Big Green. Although it lacks the grandeur of the last two,
Dartmouth. Now the baseball, I gotta do these baseball reactions one day. But Dartmouth, one and done. One and done.
It does have one thing that they don't, and that is a facade covered in ivy, which not only looks quite elegant, but it's the Ivy League, so it makes perfect sense. Harvard did have it, but they got rid of it. I'm not sure why, perhaps they used poison ivy by mistake. I wouldn't put it past them. They're not the brightest tools in the shed. Wait, what? But the facade is actually much older than the stand itself, which was rebuilt in the 21st century. It's a simple stadium in a scenic setting. Not bad. Princeton Stadium, home of the Princeton Tigers.
Princeton.
Now,
Princeton, right? Will you coach here? It looks like they try to redo their whole stadium on the inside, but kept their exterior nostalgia purposes. They try to do what Chicago did with Soldier Field. Will I coach here? Yeah, I'll give it a chance. I'll do 2 years. I'll do 2 years, 2 to 3. 2 to 3.
This is interesting. The outer U-shaped
The reason I'm giving it because the track is away from the football stadium. And that's what I like to see. So I'll do 2 to 3 years here.
facade seems to draw inspiration from
Shout out to Princeton.
Harvard Stadium and Franklin Field. But actually it is an homage to Princeton's old Palmer Stadium, which occupied the same site. Unfortunately, it fell into a state of disrepair, but I've got to say, this blend of old and new architectural styles looks fantastic. It's got an upper deck on all but one side which rolls right onto the track and field stadium. Yes, they've actually kept the two sports separate. Well, kind of. With that outer shell, it kinda reminds me of Soldier Field, the facade of which is genuinely old. A lot of people don't like that stark contrast between the old and new, so perhaps this less jarring design is for them. The handful of trees on the concourse is also a nice touch. Lawrence A. Veen Stadium, home of the Columbia Lions.
Okay, Columbia. This stadium is a no for me because you got too many things. You got too much commotion going on right here. What happened to the baseball stadium? It's like it's been squished in. You know what I'm saying? So it's a hard no. Yeah. No, I would not coach here.
You might find it surprising to hear that it is the largest football stadium in New York City. But it's true. Unless you count Yankee Stadium, which hosts the soccer team. But I don't. And I'm guessing you don't either. Apart from the rather picturesque location by the water, this one might be the most straightforward of the lot. There's no classical architecture draped in ivy. It's a design that you might see anywhere in the country. Except for that, you don't see one stadium overlapping another too often.
See what I'm saying? It's stupid. To be honest with you, it looks stupid. But anyway.
And that's because what you see today was built in 1984, even though there has been a stadium on the site for much longer. So the design is what was common in 1984. Not the novel. I don't recall reading about any stadiums, but they probably would have sucked. Chalcott Field, home of Cornell Big Red. I wonder, when they play Dartmouth Big Green, is the game known as the Big Brown? Or would that be infringing on Brown University's trademark? Who knows? The stadium...
Will I coach Cornell? No. That's my take on it.
Is known for its distinctive crescent-shaped stand that is aptly known as the Sholkoff Crescent. It's been at the stadium since the 1920s and shares a similar exterior aesthetic as most of the stadiums in this conference. The track was gotten rid of and the western stands were torn down a few years ago, so the crescent actually makes up the entirety of the stadium's seating capacity. Well, more or less. Much like Columbia Stadium, you can get a pretty decent panoramic view from high up in the grandstand. It's an unusual stadium, but I kinda like it. Yale Bowl, home of the Yale Bulldogs.
Right, will you coach Yale? Yeah, I will coach Yale. I'll give him 2 to 3 years. I will give him 2 to 3 years.
On the surface, it's not the most inspiring design, but this simple bowl stadium has had a major impact on college football. It inspired the Rose Bowl's name and design, which is where the term bowl game originated. Come to think of it, not just college football. Have you heard of something called the Super Bowl? Once again, the structure is more or less the same as it was when it opened over 100 years ago, with a symmetrical single-tiered seating bowl and that distinctive grass berm that makes up the stadium's exterior. If you weren't familiar with the Yale Bowl and were driving through the area, from street level it would be very difficult to ascertain what you were looking at. It does have a Neolithic monument vibe to it. And those were the
And I'm sorry, I got a bad seat. I'm gonna have to get this. I'm gonna have to order me a new seat. But yeah, that's the video, y'all. So please like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. And yeah, like I say, I love the SWAC. SWAC needs to get into the NCAA football game. Also, Missouri Valley, they completely already in it already. But I would say, other than Princeton, Yale, and Harvard and stuff, and I'm gonna put Brown in it. Except for those 4 teams, they do need to get rid of the Ivy League. So that's my take on it. But yeah, please like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. And I'll catch y'all later. Deuces.